All right. Here we go, guys and gals. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, drivers!
And now for last week's race reviews.
Other drama, so just go up to your friendly neighborhood depressed person who is most likely a Ferrari fan, and they'll be able to fill you in on that. I do want to go to lap 51, though.
I want to interrupt you real quick. My ding-dong self.
Uh-huh.
When we got in here, I tried to use
Andrew.
the thing. Yeah, yes.
I've been cooking.
I know you have.
Andrew, this is like the lost episode of greatness right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, those who just are tuning in that are going to be tuning in here.
I've been cooking.
We talked about... We're midway in the F1 race. We talked about IndyCar, NASCAR. You can resume.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm putting myself on for the Nigel.
Yeah. You get the Lance Stroll Medal of Excellency Award for that, just so you know. On lap 51, Will Joseph, who, for those that don't know, is Lando Norris's race engineer, he essentially told Lando that there wasn't any point in pushing, even though at the time, and throughout the race actually, Lando had better pace than Oscar Piastri. And he was catching Piastri. And Piastri's race engineer, whose name I don't remember, was basically coaching him through areas of the track where Lando was faster. Now, that sounds pretty bad, but I don't think it's like some big conspiracy like some people do. I think that McLaren is trying to eliminate drama as best they can, and by doing that, they are inadvertently creating even more drama. Like, Piastri is ahead, not only in the standings, but he was ahead on track, and they don't want a Lewis and Nico situation. They just don't. No team wants that. So they're trying to minimize that as much as possible, and I can understand that, but it's creating some weird things, and again, I don't think it's some giant conspiracy, but there is some weird stuff going on at McLaren right now. Just the way that family members are acting, specifically Lando's dad and Zach Brown, the way that they acted and were seen together throughout the weekend raised a lot of eyebrows from a lot of people, and just the way that Zach Brown has kind of been talking about Lando in interviews. Like, I don't think they're trying to like sandbag him, but it is something to watch as the year progresses, because something shifted at McLaren.
Here's the thing. I feel like Zach Brown gets a lot of the credit at McLaren. I don't think he's the genius that everyone thinks he is. I feel like he knows the right people to make them successful.
Yes.
He doesn't create the success, other people do that, but he does know who can.
I think that's a good take, because, Andreas Seidel, he worked well there for a while, and then when he left, Andrea Stella stepped in, and Andrea Stella has really taken the team to the next level. Zach, from a pure business standpoint and a talent acquisition standpoint, I think is maybe the best in the game. But yeah, I think the success, the on-track success, that undoubtedly is Andrea Stella's doing.
In Formula One side, I'll give that to you, but I don't feel like that's the same talent evaluator on the IndyCar side.
No, but I think that's partially because Formula One is where he spends almost all his time. He's not going to like the IndyCar races; he's going to the F1 races, right? Like, except like the Indy 500, right?
And a few others.
And a few others, but like he's if they're on the same weekend, he's going to be at F1. That's his priority. Mm-hmm. And maybe that maybe says something, but purely in the F1 world, that's my thoughts on that whole situation.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
But yeah, after lap 51, nothing else happened. So Oscar Piastri, he crossed the line first. Lando in second. George Russell once again just finding his way onto the third step of the podium. Honestly, you gotta respect it. He's had himself a very nice year, just taking advantage of things.
The show curse of him not being on the podium when we pick him and vice versa has been broken.
Yeah. Verstappen was 4th, Albon 5th, Antonelli 6th, Leclerc 7th. Then you had Hamilton and Sainz, who made a little bit of contact at the final corner, so that was one thing that happened at the end of the race. And then Yuki Tsunoda rounding out the point scoring positions.
Okay, so before we get into the news, I am going to give the ARCA Breaks moment of the week to Chris Wright for just being in the middle of the track when right in the racing line and Justin Allgaier was passing him. He was in lane 2. Allgaier was in lane 1. Wright moved from lane 2 to lane 1.5. So Chris Wright, the first time someone has gotten the ARCA Breaks moment of the week twice.
Wow.
So not a good look for the guy who has Wright in his last name, because he's not doing much right.
Some could say he's doing wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be here. I'll be here all week. Thank you. Yeah.
Into the news.
And now for the news.
10 not much better
goodness.
news here. 10-year contract extension secures Miami till 2041.
Yeah.
So F1, you get the Chicken Award for extending one of the worst races on the schedule.
Hey, it was a good race this weekend. Though.
Usually,
Yeah.
for 10 more years than it already is, which is already trying to do math here. A few years too long.
Give F1 and the FIA and everyone relating to that the Sir Lancelot Medal of Honor.
So you're not giving it to me? Are you?
No, I'm giving it to everyone. It's a medal of honor, Andrew. Multiple people can be knighted in the Sir Lancelot Kingdom.
All right.
FIA, F1, everyone. Specifically for what I talked about earlier. If you I guess you missed it because Andrew didn't hit the record button. I was going off about how the way that wheel-to-wheel racing is in Formula 1 these days, it's not racing. We need to bring back wheel-to-wheel racing. Fernando Alonso needs to run for the presidency of the FIA under the slogan, all the time, you have to leave the space.
All right.
But yes, I am going to say something about the Miami news. Obviously, it was already on the calendar through 2031, so they just decided, might as well tack on another 10 years. And this is coming during a time period where we are seeing tracks like Spa not have, long contracts, and the contract that Spa does have, it's every other year after 26 or something, I believe, and then it's 3 years of every other year, or 3 instances of every other year, and it's weird. And we're seeing things like how Stefano Domenicali is talking about how we can't have 2 races in Italy maybe, but we're extending Miami through 2041. It's just disappointing to see, really, but it's nothing that we haven't talked about before. And on the same vein, a track that I actually don't necessarily have an issue with, I know it doesn't always produce the best racing either, but Mexico City is going to stay on the F1 calendar through 2028. I think that Mexico is an important place for Formula 1 to go to, just continuing to visit places in the Western Hemisphere in North America. So I think that is important. It is a 3-year extension. So 26, 27, 28 are those 3 years. The track was, the contract was running out after this this season. Mm-hmm. So that's it for your calendar news, but someone might want to circle the calendar for Imola in a couple of weeks, because the race is reporting that we're going to see Franco Colapinto replace Jack Doohan at Alpine. Andrew, I would like to give Flavio Briatore also a Medal of Honor, giving out a lot of medals today, making up for a few weeks where I just haven't been doing it.
It's actually 11 weeks since you last gave the Sir Lancelot Medal of Excellence, where you gave it to 4 people.
Okay, so yeah, we give them in bunches here. We give them in bunches. That's how they do it in royal places too, right? They have like big ceremonies where multiple people get knighted. So we're keeping
the wrong guy.
We're keeping the trend going, I think, unless I don't know what I'm talking about, which is very possible. What I do know is
I'm not going to fact check you.
What I do know is
you're welcome.
The race, like I said, is reporting that Jack Doohan will be replaced with Franco Colapinto. And Andrew, this is just disappointing and doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, Jack Doohan hasn't had the greatest of rookie seasons. Australia was rough, but I mean, Australia was catching guys with experience of Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso out. So I think that's unfair to say. Mm-hmm. I think the crash in Japan was definitely a little head turning or head shaking because it was just not smart what he was doing, trying to take turn 1 with the DRS flap open. Was never in a million years going to work. But apart from that, he just hasn't really had a first 5-6 races, however many races we've had, 6 races, that's been worthy of being dropped. Yes, Pierre Gasly has been a lot faster than him, but this is a rookie's first 6 races if we're not counting his debut, if we're counting that debut in Abu Dhabi last year. First 7 races. Like, this is not enough time to evaluate someone. And Andrew, we talked about how, like, maybe there are drivers who, in some way or another maybe deserve a Formula 1 seat more than Jack Doohan. But if Alpine's going to give Jack Doohan a seat, they need to give it to him for the full year. Like, what are we doing here? We're just throwing in Franco Colapinto, and we knew that this was going to happen. We've all talked about it a million times that once Flavio Briatore signed Franco Colapinto, this was going to happen. And I wish I could go into more detail about it here, but we don't have a ton of time. But it's just,
I'm pretty sure the show after us isn't going.
We have time. Okay. It's head scratching, and it's the most recent move in a long list of head scratching moves for Alpine, and just debacles like the Oscar Piastri announcing he signed a contract when he just straight up didn't. Like, it has been a weird time since that Renault team shed their yellow colors and became Alpine. And earlier today, Oliver Oakes, the team principal of Alpine, he exited the team. And the team released a statement on social media saying BWT Alpine Formula 1 team announces that Oliver Oakes has resigned from his role as team principal. The team has accepted his resignation with immediate effect. As of today, Flavio Briatore will continue as executive advisor and will also be covering the duties previously performed by Oliver Oakes. The team would like to thank Oliver for his efforts since he joined last summer and his contribution in helping the team secure 6th place in the 2024 Constructors' Championship. And then finally, the team will not be making any further comment. I mean, there's a lot to unpack from that. Flavio Briatore, interim team principal, a guy that should quite frankly be or have received a lifetime ban from Formula 1 due to his role in the 2008 Crashgate controversy. And not only has he been back in Formula 1, he is now a team principal again. Just crazy to me that that's even allowed. But I digress. It is obvious that it seems obvious. For all we know, it could be something completely unrelated. But it seems very likely, Andrew, that there was a disagreement within the team about this decision, and Oliver Oakes was clearly on one side, and Flavio Briatore, who brought in Franco Colapinto. I mean, the guy manages Jack Doohan too, I believe, which is just a crazy part of this, but He brought in Franco Colapinto to that lucrative contract that we've already talked about. We knew that this was going to happen. We just didn't know when. You know, the team was saying, "Oh no, Jack's safe. Jack's safe." Jack was never safe. This was always the plan from the masterminds of Alpine, because even with Oliver Oakes as the team principal, once Flavio Briatore got in the building, it was obvious who was one day going to be boss man. Now, maybe Briatore won't take the team principal role for long. They could find someone else, but look, we try to deal in absolutes and in hard news here, but if you're asking me my opinion, I would assume that if they do go out and get a team principal, it's just someone that's going to be a yes man to Flavio. And it's just change after change after change after change. I mean,
Well, I'll give you the numbers. 5 team principals for Alpine since 2020. I'll give you the names: Cyril Abeturu, Marcin Budkowski, Otmar Zafnauer, Bruno Famine, Oliver Oakes. So that's 5.
It's a lot of instability. It's not a good place
in 5 years. And they're going to get number 6 here.
Yeah.
6 in 5 years.
And we're probably going to get a number 7. And look, Franco Colapinto, is he a talented driver? Yes. Did he show how his pace can be last season? Yes. Yes, he did. Did he also show that he is mistake prone and not the otherworldly driver that he showed in like his first 2 to 3 races? Also, yes. Now, I still think Franco Colapinto is a good driver, but he's not a driver that I'm throwing Jack Doohan to the side for after 6 races. But again, this was always the plan, Andrew. We knew it, because you don't sign Franco Colapinto to that lucrative of a contract without putting him in your team. It's just really rough for Jack Doohan. I hope that the races reporting is wrong here, but we both know that it isn't. You know, they do great work over there. The chances of it being a false report is very small, especially since we are seeing corroborating reports from other outlets. So, I mean, that's that.
This is in the past, let me tell you, since Renault came back in as Alpine, this is the results. 8 points for 9th in the Constructors, 57 for 6th, 122 for 4th, 91 for 5th, 181 for 5th, and then they changed to Alpine. Oh, this is 2021. 155 for 5th, 173 for 4th, 120 for 6th, 65 for 6th. And now they're 6 races in. This is right now they're at they're 9th, and they're on pace to go, doing some math here, 28 points.
We're not seeing a jump, really.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just shows changing out who's boss.
You need stability.
Isn't the problem. The problem is who's up top.
Yeah, you need stability. Last little bit of Formula One news. Cadillac released what their logo is going to be. It's the Cadillac logo with Cadillac Formula One team underneath. In the logo reveal, the logo looked kind of like a silverish color, but on like you can see here, Andrew, on like the images that they released of the logo on a Formula One car, it looks more like kind of like a softer gold than a silver. So just kind of interesting. We'll see what actually happens when they rock up to the grid next year. But we are hearing more and more chatter out of who could potentially be racing in that car. You know, we've heard names like Checo Perez, Valtteri Bottas, you know, Zhou Guanyu. Hearing some other names like Pato Award in recent days, we've heard rumblings of Mick Schumacher, another guy that we've heard rumblings of. So it's just more names to be aware of and to not be surprised by if Cadillac releases its driver lineup anytime soon, which they probably won't. They'll probably take their time, but just names to be aware of.
I'd like the Perez pick. That'd be the guy that I'd try to get.
I do too. I wonder how that time at Red Bull changed him for worse, quite frankly. Because the Sergio Perez that I know is a great driver who can lead a midfield team and maximize results if he has a good understanding of that car. But I don't know that Sergio Perez is there anymore, quite frankly.
Well, we'll
but
see.
only one way to find out. And only one way to find out if that's the way that Cadillac decides to go or not. So, yeah. But heading into NASCAR news now, Andrew.
The big news: Homestead Miami Speedway to host 26th finale. NASCAR moving to championship rotation model.
Yeah, kind of. On a personal level, it's unfortunate for us because we love covering the championship race at Phoenix, but from a marketing standpoint and excitement standpoint, I do understand.
Yeah. What we know is Homestead and Phoenix are in the rotation. After that, we know that super speedways and road courses will not be in the rotation. So that rules out Atlanta, Daytona, Talladega, and your road courses. So after that, who could also be hosting? And I've got 4 tracks that I think could host: Kansas, Texas, Las Vegas, Nashville. All of them which are in southern cities, and all of them which are in cities. Big metro areas. So if you're going to, take Darlington for example. No one wants to go to Greenville, South Carolina, or wherever. I think Greenville's close to Darlington. I could be very wrong. No one wants to go to Nowhere, South Carolina. Respectfully, I have nothing against Nowhere, South Carolina. It's probably a very nice place, but people want to go to these big cities like Phoenix. There's a lot to do in Phoenix. Miami, a lot to do in Miami. Las Vegas is Las Vegas. Dallas, Fort Worth area, a lot to do there. Nashville's Nashville. So that's why I could see those 4 tracks hosting and joining the rotation. But there is an interesting point against Texas, Vegas, and Nashville. Those tracks are not owned by NASCAR. I don't know if NASCAR would want to let go of holding the championship not at its own tracks. I don't know if NASCAR wants to do that. So that would leave Kansas on the board. Kansas City, that's a decent metro area. But here's something that I could see possibly happening. Auto Club Speedway. The track that is being dismantled for a new track.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you seen images of Auto Club recently?
If they
it's
actually
not looking too hot.
Because they proposed a short track, which sounded like they said, we're going to have the straightaways of Martinsville and the corners of Bristol. It's going to be this really cool track. They've clearly dismantled the big track.
Yes. It is. Auto Club is. It looks almost apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
From the recent photos.
Shout out Diego Alvarado on Twitter. Always goes a couple times a year to see, what's new. Flies his drone. Former NASCAR Pro Heat Series driver. That's a topic for another conversation. But there's lore there. But if the Auto Club, they build this short track, I think that is a prime spot for the championship. LA, a lot of people want to go to LA.
Yeah.
Lots to do there. Short track racing, historically been some NASCAR's best racing, even though this car was built to be great on short tracks, road courses. It isn't. So, yeah.
I mean,
it
Fontana and Auto Club, I mean, it's not really, it's a good distance from LA.
What is it, like 40 minutes?
Yeah, if there's no traffic, which, when is there ever no traffic in LA?
So it's good enough for me to consider it LA. So,
yeah.
By my book, but point being is that. Personally, how do I feel about this move? I've got mixed feelings. I'd like it to stay, to have them stay the championship at Phoenix Raceway. I'd like to cover it another year, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get out to Miami. I'd love to go. Because
that'd be fun.
One of my things on my NASCAR bucket list that I made when I was, I think around 2018, 2019 years, go to Miami and see the championship. Is that at that point that's what I'd known for all my life. Championship was at Miami. Wanted to go to there. Now, but since that it's went to Phoenix, I've been able to see and cover championship races, which I didn't expect to do, but yeah, I'm kind of getting a little sentimental here. But yeah, I think Phoenix is an overhated racetrack. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. I think it's not top tier, but it's closer to the top tier than the bottom tier. Pretty above average, I would say. But a lot of fans disagree. A lot of fans don't like it. I don't know why. Yeah. I know part of the reason why is Joey Logano's won 2 of his championships.
That'll do
and fan base doesn't like Logano, so I think that makes it worse. I think fans just hate
Well, as Joey Logano himself once said, people love to complain.
Yeah. You did say that once, so yeah, yeah, I'm sad about it, but we'll see. I am holding my thoughts before they start releasing these other tracks that they're going to do. Because if they do something like Texas, it's a bad decision. Even, and if they go to Darlington, I think it's a bad decision because it's a track nowhere. Martinsville, Bristol. I love Martinsville and Bristol, but that's not championship venue. You got to have the whole...
You got to have the whole 9.
The whole 9. Gives me 8 of the 9. Doesn't give me the 9.
Yeah.
The city of Phoenix, I always see... Last year I remember seeing on one of the ASU buildings, the Arizona Center, a big NASCAR billboard saying, NASCAR comes to town this day.
Yeah, Phoenix does a really good job at not only marketing, but just, especially the city of Avondale, where the race is technically located, does a great job of leaning into all of it.
Yeah, you can't get that in a small market.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, good or bad, you just can't do that.
You can, but the reach isn't...
The reach isn't there.
Isn't there.
You get that in places like Phoenix.
Yeah.
So, that's that.
Right or wrong, good or bad.
That's the way it is.
That's the way it is.
Moving into the latest installment of NasCourt.
We don't need a theme song. No, we don't need a theme. No.
I'm gotta play the ASU baseball song when they bring in the umpires. I think that's a court song. I don't know. Judge denies Legacy Motor Club motion for preliminary injunction case against Rick Ware Racing. Now you're wondering, Andrew, what do those series of words mean? The Rick Ware team can sell or lease its charters in 2026 as they please, but the lawsuit is yet to be determined. The fact that they ruled this way makes it more likely than it was in the past that the judges for the lawsuit will be ruling with Rick Ware than Legacy Motor Club. Not saying that they will or won't, but it's more likely to do that they'll rule that way now because the injunction went that way. So that's how it goes. Trailer released for new NASCAR to Le Mans documentary on Amazon Prime.
We're not talking about the GTA 6 trailer?
No,
okay.
no. That's going to be released when we're 83.
You're right.
We'll see. I believe this is NASCAR's first documentary on Amazon Prime. I could be very wrong. They're going to talk about the Garage 56 entry, which was in Le Mans, where they brought the NASCAR, which was a really cool thing. I love crossover. Yeah. That was cool.
Those pictures are very elite.
Mm-hmm. So there's probably going to talk about that a lot because that's what the documentary is about after that. We'll see how that is. Moving into Ross Chastain saying the Trackhouse cars are plain uncomfortable to drive. That's what he said post-race. He wasn't just saying, oh yeah, this is a me issue. The other two drivers are feeling the exact same. You see SVG down there in the standings a lot lower than I thought he would. Daniel Suarez. We talked about it, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, where we talked about the disappointments of the year. I mentioned 2 of the 3 Trackhouse guys. There's 2 things I think are part of this. Is that 3 actually? Ty Norris leaving, who was one of the guys instrumental. He went to Colleague. SVG, you saw in the cars last year that I was driving, which was a combination between Trackhouse and Colleague. He was running better last year than this year.
Uh-huh.
That's concerning. Just saying. Suarez was running better last year. Chastain was running better last year. Ross Chastain, he has qualified pretty horribly this season. I'm looking up the numbers right now, but it's not good. So that's part of it, is Ty Norris leaving. You also have Justin Marks. He isn't quite the leader as Ty Norris was, kind of a byproduct of that. They didn't really get anyone to fill that role, so that's part of it. Actually, I'm going to go 4 things. Another thing is that they're expanding to 3 cars full time this year from 2. That's something
difficult.
Yeah, difficult. And my 4th thing, which I'm going to get into later, is that the RCR engine teams, ECR, the Earnhardt Childress Racing, but Earnhardt doesn't really do much anymore. Those teams aren't doing too well in the standings compared to the Hendrick Chevrolet engines, because there's 2 different types of Chevy engines out there, Ethan. I didn't know if you knew that.
I didn't.
But your Hendrick engine guys, 1, 2, 4, 10, 15, 17, 20, and 28 in the standings. And then your ECR engine Chevys are 11, 16, 19, 21, 25, 30, 35. Now, if I were to ask you, Ethan,
yes,
outside of Hendrick, who has been the best Chevrolet team this year? That you can, what Chevrolet team has caught your eye the most? Is it Spire, Colleague, Trackhouse in terms of speed?
Is there an
Richard
option? Richard
Childress Racing. Who would you put in that number 2 team behind Hendrick?
I don't know, man. I don't think there is a clear number 2.
Yeah, I would. That's fair. I think you can argue Trackhouse, Spire, or RCR, but the fact that we are having this conversation is Spire was supposed to be a tier lower than Trackhouse and even RCR to an extent. But Spire with those engines, they're doing a lot better. I remember Phoenix, they had qualified really well.
Yeah.
I think it wound up being 2 cars, a few cars in the top 5. I think, but yeah,
Carson Hocevar has been pretty quick at certain tracks.
even Michael McDowell has shown a lot of speed. Just Haley, kind of the outlier there, but still very good. Here's Ross Chastain's starting qualifying position: 9th, 33rd, 9th, 24th, 19th, 25th, 17th, 25th, 35th, 32nd, 31st. That's atrocious.
Yeah.
For a guy who's 11th in the standings.
Former championship 4 guy.
Yeah. That's that shows he's getting the most at those cars. Cars just aren't good. So that's just concerning as a whole for Chevy right now, outside of Hendrick and Spire. Just not doing well. I don't know what the answer is for them, but the fact that they're struggling is apparent. It's bad. So who knows? Maybe instead of you know Connor Zilic just waiting in the wings for Trackhouse?
Yeah.
Maybe instead of replacing Daniel Suarez, Ross Chastain's the guy that jumps ship.
That would be.
I mean,
that would be something that no one predicted.
That would be huge. I don't know where he'd go at this point.
Sure.
I don't see anything at Hendrick or Gibbs
No.
or Penske opening
You'd
up.
have to leave the Chevy family, probably.
Maybe he might go to Colleague. Maybe he might go to RCR. Maybe it just it depends on.
Well, I think RCR is going to have some different movements.
Yeah, maybe.
That I think we're about to talk about.
I'm just trying to think of maybe to RFK if Brad Keselowski just decides to hang it up. I don't think
It's time for Bradley to hang it up.
I don't know yet with him, but I'm just trying to think of other teams right now.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe just front row, but I don't know if that's the step up for Ross. I don't know if the bigger teams want him because there's not much open, but we'll see. Certainly a very talented race car driver. Jesse Love adds Kansas and Richmond to the Cup schedule for the RCR number 33. Again.
Yay!
Love adding races. He's going to be at 5 races now. So yeah, it's something that kind of surprised me. Makes me wonder. Hill with I think 5-6 races, and Love now with 5 races. Is there going to be movement at RCR? Is Austin?
Yeah, I would think so.
I don't know.
Don't know, really.
Here's the thing. Austin Dillon, he's team principal's son. I don't know if it's technically team principal, but team owner's grandson, team principal's son, basically. He's not going anywhere. I don't think. There's no sign of him retiring. Or Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch hasn't had the best 2 years there, but where else is Kyle Busch going to go?
Well, what about, is there a possibility of making the 33 car a full-time ride?
There's always a possibility, yeah, but that means you got to get a charter. Who are you going to get a charter from? The only team that I could think of is Rick Ware decides to sell one of their charters to someone and the other charter to Richard Childress. But that means Cody Ware's Cody Ware's checked out at this point. Because Cody Ware's going to be like Austin Dillon, Cody Ware's going to be in the Cup Series as long as he wants to be.
Yeah.
He's a team owner's son.
I mean...
So I don't know, because there's only a finite amount of charters. You could do an open team, but that's such a monetary loss compared to running a chartered car. So...
Yeah. I mean... I
don't know.
Like, looking at a guy like Jesse Love, he is super young. It's not like if he doesn't make the Cup Series next year, it's like...
I'd like to see him in Xfinity another year regardless. That'd be my preference at this point.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. He's in 4th place right now. He's run well. Some more experience maybe is better.
I'd like to see him win a couple non-super speedway races.
I think that does he have the car for that?
I think he might.
All right, we'll see. I think that a jump to the Cup Series wouldn't be too big of a task at this point for next year. I don't. I think he has it in him. It's just, yeah, well, if there's no room, then there's no room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then finally, for NASCAR news, TNT Sports will offer an alternate viewing experience on True TV for the NASCAR in-season tournament, which is all their 5 races, hosted by Larry McReynolds and Jeff Burton. So that's kind of interesting and unexpected because you really don't get to hear Larry talk much anymore because he's since Jeff Gordon came into the Fox role, he was relegated to the studio slot, and now finally get to hear Larry back in the full time. I always liked him. We'll see how he works with Jeff Burton. That's new, different, but we'll see. Like, will fans want to hear the main broadcast of Adam Alexander, Dale Jr., and Steve Letarte? Maybe. But at that point, we would have heard him for 5 Amazon Prime races, so that will tell us, ooh, do we like him? Do we not want him at that point? And people might want to try out this, see if it's more of a laid back presentation. I don't know what the difference is between the Sky feed and the F1 TV feed in terms of broadcast, but I don't
live in the UK. I cannot comment on that.
You don't get F1 TV?
I don't have Sky Sports.
Well, the ESPN carries the Sky.
Okay, yeah.
So.
But I don't have like the Sky Q and the Sky Glass that Crofty is always waffling about. I don't have any of that stuff. So like I don't know. And yeah, F1 TV. I don't have F1 TV.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you were familiar with that. So maybe we'll see. It will be interesting. Probably watch at least one race with that, see if I like it or not. And then IndyCar announces a tire rule change for the Indy GP. You have to do 2 sets of the hard tire, 2 sets of the soft tire. However, 1 set of the soft tire can be used. Try to get a strategy. Indy GP has always been traditionally been kind of a boring race. So the fact that they're trying something with this, I like it. Hopefully it works. We'll see if it's not another Alex Palou win, which takes us to the previews.
And now for next week's race previews.
Where IndyCar is at the IMS Road Course. The 5, I give you 5 drivers to watch out for. Will Power's a 5-time winner there. Used to be a Penske-dominated track. But recently it's kind of been the opposite. Scott Dixon and Alex Palou, 2 wins there each. Colton Herta is always fast there. He had that drift in the rain, I remember. And Townsend Bell was using a granola bar to describe how the track was with water from his water bottle. So that was a fun time. And I'm also throwing in the guy who finished 4th last week, Rocket Renus VK. He won there before in a Ed Carpenter car. Don't be surprised if he breaks one onto the podium to this week. And my honorable mentions, guys who's won there before that, aren't good enough for my 5. Alexander Rossi, he did that in a Chevy, actually a Honda Andretti car. Now he's in a Chevy ECR car. So much continuity for him. And Joseph Newgarden, he hasn't been himself the last 2 years. Only 1-time winner there, so I'm leaving him out. The only driver changing in the Indy Series as of now is Nikita Johnson in the 18 for the HMD Motorsports team. So let's move over to Kansas. NASCAR time, Ethan.
Oh, yeah.
Cup Series, you got 2 drivers in the open cars, and they're both prospects. heavily coveted Jesse Love in the 33 for Richard Childress, and Corey Heim in the 2311 for the 67 car. His first start of the year for Heim. He's done a cup race before. We'll see how they do. Probably going to run bottom 20s, high 30s, just because that's how it is. The 5. Denny Hamlin, 4-time winner there. Joey Logano, 3-time winner
Would be
there.
a great track for Hamlin to get back on good track for Hamlin to get back on track at, because last couple races haven't exactly gone his way.
Logano, 3-time winner there. Kyle Larson, 2-time winner there. And in 2311, I've had won the first 3 of the first 4 races at Kansas in the next-gen car. And of the 6, Toyota has won 4 of the 6. So that's why I'm adding Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick to round out my 5. Honorable mentions: Ross Chastain, Brad Keselowski has won there twice along with Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott. Ross Chastain is the only driver who won in the next-gen car that I'm leaving off. So, yeah. In the Truck Series, your rotating drivers are Brandon Jones in the 1 Tricon, the number 2 of Cody Dennison for Young Brothers. 22 will be Morgan Baird, same team. 07 for Spire is William Byron in the 7 for the same team as Carson Hocevar. Bailey Curry in the 44 for Nice, and the 66 for ThorSport is Luke Baldwin. So, Ethan, time for the pick points.
And now for next week's race picks.
For the 3rd straight week last week, I gained 1 point on you.
Oh, wow. 1 whole point. Shiver me timbers.
Hey, at this rate, I'm going to do some math here, a point a week for 30 more weeks means I'm going to beat you by 23 at the end of the year. So if
I'm so sure.
If the trends continue, then I'm looking good.
I am so sure.
Last week, the guest Morgan took 5 for Lando Norris on the sprint.
That's the guest performance we've had in a long time.
Too bad they only gained 0 on you. Anyway, Ethan and I had 8 points each, from 5 for Oscar winning, 3 for Lando getting second. The guests had Oscar and Lando flipped, so 1 point for each podium position, and 2 for Russell getting third. Ethan and I got 5 for Indy Next, Dennis Hauger, 1 for Scott McLaughlin beating Joseph Newgarden in the regular IndyCar race. We all got 1 point for picking Carson Hocevar. Someone should have won picking Corey Heim.
Would have been nice to know that Kyle Larson was racing in the Xfinity race.
Because Morgan picked Connor Silich, so the rule is with subs, we give you the person who is being subbed for. So he got the 5 points for Larson, who won there. 1 point for me because Larson beat out Byron and Hamlin for the Cup race. So, moving on to
this week,
Morgan's
Morgan's again, yeah, and it's a lot of the same for a lot of us. I mean, we're all picking Dennis Hauger for the first race.
He's 2 for 2. You and I are going say he's going to go 2 for 2.
We've already talked about it. Like, he's in a weird stage right now in his career where he's just quite simply better than the rest of the guys in Indy Next, but there isn't really room for him, or even...
And he
doesn't even have the talent level
IndyCar
to warrant him. Yeah. I mean...
Going into the year.
Yeah, I think he has the talent level to warrant a discussion, but there are multiple other guys in that discussion, and I think there are other guys on the depth chart ahead of him, but he's too good for Indy Next. So it's a weird spot.
He's moved up the depth chart with his performance so far.
Yeah.
I put him in second best guy that deserves an IndyCar seat who isn't in an IndyCar behind Linus Lundqvist.
I mean... We both have him winning both races. Morgan changing it up a bit, playing the field a little bit. Salvador de Alba is his pick for
teammate.
The second race.
Both Andretti drivers. We're all going Alex Palou for the IMS road course.
Yeah. I mean, he's too good right now.
Yeah. I feel like if anyone were to challenge him, it would be his teammate Scott Dixon. But Scott Dixon hasn't had a really Dixon-like season so far.
Yeah.
But just when you count Scott Dixon out, he that's when he
comes back.
strikes. So
Yeah.
I can't. I originally wrote William Byron as my pick. I saw you guys picked William Byron for trucks.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what?
You go be different, Andrew.
I'm going to pick Corey Heim because I saw us all pick Carson Hocevar last week. Corey Heim wins.
Could win again.
Could win again.
I still like the odds of taking a Cup Series driver dropping down to trucks.
I do. I don't blame you, but I feel like I don't want to have 3 races be the exact same pick. But for Cup Series, rather, we're all going 3 different ways.
Yeah.
He's going Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney, he's had a lot of fast cars, been really unlucky. I saw there's an account who does, okay, this is where the finishers would have finished on track if they're all going like they're either mean or median in a certain stage. And Ryan Blaney would have won by that metric. So yeah, Ryan Blaney is due. I'm going with Tyler Reddick. Shout out Sean Brennan.
I'm going with Kyle Larson. He, like you said in your preview, Andrew, I mean, he's had a lot of success there at Kansas. How many times has he won there? Once?
2.
Twice? Even when he doesn't win, he's like pretty much always like top 5 in recent years. He does really well there, which makes him, I think, the obvious choice. I think you guys are going with a little bit longer long shots.
I don't think... Larson might be the favorite, but I think Reddick's too. I don't look at odds, but yeah.
I don't think the odds are even out yet. It's
probably
Tuesday. Are they? Shall we see real quick?
You go ahead, look that up. Look it up for me. Ethan pounding on his keyboard away. Trying to find some. Regardless of that said, I want to thank
Larson
everyone.
is plus 350, Blaney is plus 650, and then Hamlin and Reddick come in both at plus 700.
Wow. Well, that's a little low for Reddick. I'm just gonna say.
All right.
I think that's low.
Not gambling advice, but Andrew, that's what Andrew says.
I'm not saying you should bet Reddick.
No, quite explicitly not gambling advice. Do not go gamble your money. That is
just surprising.
That's
I'm
our
surprised.
PSA.
With that, Ethan, what do you want to say to wrap up this in-person semester before we go virtual for
the first 30 minutes, like 35 minutes of this episode were absolutely amazing, and
I think it's 25.
And it's a crime that the public won't hear it. Andrew, you are unfortunately on Fraud Watch. To all our amazing fans out there, Mr. Jim Tremmel, anyone else that might be listening, we do really appreciate it. Thank you to Blaze Radio. Thank you for letting us do this. Like, we're students and we're out here, getting to go to cool races and just talk about what we love to talk about in studio.
Yeah.
So thank you. We will continue by uploading podcasts on Spotify and YouTube. We need to get a little bit better at actually uploading, but
I need to get better. I'll take the blame for that. Well, I do.
Not helping your Fraud Watch argument.
We're gonna get episode. I'm gonna try get one episode a day for the next. Let's see. However
got
many
some free
days.
time.
I've got some free time now.
Yeah. So that's that, though. Like I said, thank you to everyone that's listening. Thank you to everyone that makes this possible. Thank you to you, Andrew, for
Thank you to you, Ethan.
pressing around buttons and being my co-host.
Yeah, plenty of buttons. Not on a wheel though.
Even the buttons that you don't press.
I press your buttons sometimes. Anyway, thank you all. We'll see you in the fall. Stay tuned for our show uploads when we decide to upload them.
Adios.
To me, it looked like he actually lost the wheel.
The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect.
Wheel on the track.
Did you leave the wheel loose?
You picked the fine time to leave me loose, wheel.